The woman sees her husband killed by a gangster and then herself. After that, they dig a large hole and throw their bodies in, but didn't know where the woman is alive. The woman is called Brenner, was an elite trained soldier. Her husband, Dylan, is a policeman. They are driving somewhere for vacation. This is when a man in a truck passes by. He makes some inappropriate comments about Brenner,
I love you!
and then rudely overtakes the couple. After a while, they stop at a restaurant to freshen up, and while Dylan is in the bathroom, his wife Brenner sits at a table outside. At this moment, the same man from the truck reappears and starts harassing Brenner. This time, he gets too close. The man's name is Butch, and he's a bully, just like the way he speaks foully to the woman. Dylan comes out of the bathroom, and they exchange words.
Got a problem?
Before things get out of hand. An elderly woman in the restaurant steps between the two men, pulling them apart. Then, she continues to tell the couple that the townspeople aren't used to seeing a lovely couple like them, and apologizes on behalf of Butch.
Silence here.
Dylan expresses his gratitude to the lady, but she insists he call her mom, as everyone does after dining at her restaurant. The couple then drives on, finding a nice spot in the woods to camp for the night. Just as they are settling in, a female police officer appears and strikes up a conversation with Brenner. She warns that the locals are a bit odd and not very welcoming to outsiders, so they should be extremely cautious if they plan to camp in the area. Grateful for the officer's advice, they decide to go hiking after she leaves. As they walk, Dylan asks his wife whether they should go left or right. Brenner tells him they must go left.
Left it is.
And as they head in that direction, it begins to rain. Suddenly, they discover a cabin and decide to enter to wait out the rain, remarking on the romantic weather. The couple experiences a romantic encounter inside the cabin before Brenner begins exploring. When she enters another room, she finds a hidden compartment and, upon opening it, discovers a large amount of ammunition. She is terrified.
Oh, shit.
She immediately calls Dylan to check what is outside. Dylan is also frightened, and they decide it is best to leave immediately. Just as they are preparing to leave, Butch charges from behind and strikes them with the butt of his gun. They are knocked unconscious, and we next see them tied up in a room, with Butch continuing to brutally torment Dylan. While torturing Dylan, they force his wife to watch, inflicting psychological torment on her. Later, one of Butch's men approaches and informs him that the person he is torturing is a police officer. Butch panics for a moment, then enters the room. He tells Dylan he didn't know he was a cop and apologizes for everything he has done.
I need to apologize to you guys.
He then draws his gun and shoots both of them. He orders his men to dispose of the bodies. They dig a large hole and place the bodies inside. We are then taken to a flashback showing Brenner undergoing officer training, indicating she is not like any ordinary woman. She is a very powerful. Afterward, we return to the present, where we see Brenner waking up after everyone has left. It turns out the bullets haven't actually killed her, they had just grazed her, leaving a large scratch and causing her to bleed. Upon waking, she immediately checks on her husband. Seeing that he is dead, she covers his body with small branches. She returns to their campsite, mourning her lost husband. She blames herself for his death, recalling that it was her suggestion to go left, a fatal mistake. As she recalls her true identity, she decides to kill them all in revenge for her husband's death. She immediately grabs an axe and starts walking. Meanwhile, we see Butch returning to Mom's house, where they bully a woman. Butch continues to grab her from behind and kisses her against her will. The locals are afraid of Butch and his kids. It turns out they have been kidnapping these women and doing whatever they want with them. At that moment, Mom steps in front of them and tells Butch to eat quickly because she has a job for him. Meanwhile, Brenner crafts a very sharp weapon out of wood and promptly kills one of Butch's men. However, it's clear she is not pleased about having to do all this. After ending the man and disposing of the body, she disappears into the woods. Sometime later, she manages to end another man and continues by chopping off another man's foot. However, she does not kill him, instead, watching as he drags himself away, saving his own life from her hands. Brenner then lights a fire, igniting Butch's crucial cabin, causing a massive explosion. Then we are introduced to a character known as Sheriff Hobbs. He holds a gun while hearing the explosion and tries to figure out what it could be. On the other hand, Mom and Butch also hear the explosion. Butch sees smoke rising from the direction of his cabin and is somewhat frightened. Mom immediately tells Butch to go check. As Butch heads into the forest, he encounters a wounded friend who has been attacked by Brenner. He quickly places him in the truck and drives away.
Hey!
Then we see Brenner lying in the back of his truck. When Butch returns to Mom, he tells her the bad news, informing her that some of their people have been killed. Mom is furious with Butch. She lashes out at him, even slapping him for getting them into this mess. Then she orders him to go find the outsiders. It turns out Mom has a complete network. She has a whole setup. She goes to one of her nerds, telling him to check out the woman's profile. The man looks up at her, and as Mom learns that Brenner is not just any ordinary woman but has served in the military, she is shocked. Meanwhile, Sheriff Hobbs walks into the forest, finds the body of one of Butch's men, and immediately connects to the command center. He reports the bodies outside. On the other hand, Brenner begins making preparations in that forest. She continues to set traps for people lurking in the area. Sheriff Hobbs's men reach the location where he found the body, and he tells the sheriff that it was one of Mom's people. He then reveals that the entire forest is under Mom's control.
They all call her Mama. She owns all this land.
And that everything happening here is on Mom's orders. The sheriff says he wants to meet this mom immediately. On the other hand, a girl working in the command center tells Mom that Sheriff Hobbs is on his way to see her. It turns out this woman is also on Mom's payroll. The sheriff and some of his men go to meet Mom, telling her about the bodies they found in the forest. Mom doesn't tell them anything about her people having trouble in the forest. She doesn't even pretend to be a victim of someone attacking her men. Instead, she continues to claim that the man they found had simply committed suicide.
He took his own life.
The sheriff clearly knows she is talking nonsense, but says nothing more and leaves with his men. That night, Mom and her children mourn their lost friend. They get drunk and fall asleep there. Butch wakes up, but he is too hungover. He walks in, and Brenner is already there waiting for him. She immediately slashes his throat, avenging her husband. She watches as he struggles to breathe, eventually dying. The next morning, Brenner is still hiding there when one of Mom's men drags a girl into a room and locks her inside. Brenner sees that she is not the only girl there. Many other girls have also been imprisoned. Feeling sorry for these poor girls, Brenner decides to help them escape. She manages to sneak into the room and free the girls. They are too scared to leave, and one of the girls eventually screams, alerting an armed man who begins shooting at them. One of the girls is hit and killed, but Brenner, showing her unparalleled skills, kills the man in a unique way.
Go, go, go! Go!
Brenner then heads to the forest with a girl named Emily. On the other hand, Mom learns that Butch is dead and that all the girls have escaped. Devastated by the news of her son's death, Mom loses it. She tells her men to find that woman and bring her in. She orders them to gather all the men and dogs and start searching the forest for the woman. One of Mom's men finds Brenner's hiding place but is killed by a trap she set. Another one appears, and Brenner immediately shoots him dead. Later that night, Brenner and Emily sit together, chatting and having a good time. Emily tells her that she is pregnant, but adds that she is afraid of dying. She knows that if Mom catches her, who knows what she'll do to her.
I can get you out of here and you'll get your life back, okay?
But Brenner reassures her that she will protect her. Meanwhile, Mom's special man, Hunk, heads into the forest with his dogs to find Brenner. The next morning, they capture Emily, but Brenner arrives just in time and ends them. Meanwhile, Sheriff Hobbs also arrives. One of Hunk's men shoots Hobbs in the leg, but Brenner quickly spots the man and shoots him dead. Brenner and Emily then help Hobbs to a safe place. Brenner tells the sheriff that they need to distract them. Otherwise, they will keep showing up at this location, making it increasingly difficult to deal with them. They then decide to leave the hideout. Now, Emily and Brenner move along the stream and eventually encounter the same female police officer who had warned Brenner and her husband about the area. They seek her help, and she tells them to get in the car.
Emily, in the car. Back in the car!
Exhausted, they fall asleep immediately. However, when they wake up, they find themselves surrounded by Mom and her men. It turns out the female police officer has been working for Mom all along, on her payroll. They start torturing them, and Emily tells Mom that she is pregnant with Butch's child. Hearing this, Mom orders her men to take Emily to another room. Meanwhile, Brenner is tied up in a room, prepared for torture. However, Emily brings in some food, but ends up eliminating the man standing guard over Brenner. She quickly unties her. Brenner then enters the room where all of Mom's men are present. A fight breaks out, and Brenner starts ending them one by one. Meanwhile, Mom holds a knife to Emily's throat, demanding that Brenner drop her weapon. In the standoff, a man attacks Brenner from behind, and Mom slits Emily's throat before escaping. Brenner ends the man, but when she reaches Emily, the poor girl is already dead. The scene shifts to 3 months later. Mom is sitting in a garden when she receives a message: Judgment Day. Just then, Mom is shot in the head, and we see Brenner camouflaged in the forest. After avenging her husband, Brenner walks away and the movie ends. Thanks for watching.